Winchester Rackmaster. High velocity rifled slugs. They're still 2 3/4 inch. Have 1,625 feet per second muzzle velocity. 1 1/8 ounce slug. Here's what they look like there. There's their ballistics table. This test was done at 10 feet. They have this listed for deer. Here is the spent case. Here is how they are out of the box. Got a little hollow point cavity. You got your rifling on there. I may end up having to redo this test. See what goes on after I cut the block open. This one was pretty weird for the gel. That's sticking out of the block. That come out of the center of the block. So I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on here. Okay, there's the entry hole. You can see there's a slice right here. I'm not quite sure exactly what sliced that when that was on its entry. You can see where that goes in and it just starts getting wide. Now the kinetic energy on this was very, very high. Tons of kinetic energy dropped into this block. Recoil on the round was not that bad. Not really, I don't want to say it was much worse than any typical high brass, high velocity shot load. I'll say it's pretty close to same, if maybe just a little bit more recoil than a high velocity shot load. It really wasn't bad, in my opinion. Let's see, I'm not sure at the moment, but I want to say that's probably the stabilizer behind this, that was behind the slug. Figure out exactly what's going on in there when I cut this open. But then you'll see, now there's a piece that come up and it stopped right there at the edge of that block. That's 13-inch block, 13.5 inches roughly. It's right on the edge. This was fired from a 20-inch barrel, Mossberg 535. 10 feet with a modified choke. That big chunk of lead there is busted off. You can see that vicious wide wound cavity there. That's nice for what's there, but the penetration for a 12 gauge slug is definitely not there. Now I'm not so sure that the slug did not, part of the slug, the main part of the slug, exited through the top of the block. Pulled this out behind it maybe. So this is why I said I may end up redoing this test. We cut this open and get some weights on the lead that's left in here and see what we have. But I'm probably gonna end up doing this again. But if we assume nothing come out of there and everything stayed in the block, there's definitely not a great deal of penetration. Now this piece exited the block and we didn't find it laying around anywhere. So it's hard to tell. Cut it open, see what we got. I'll get you some measurements here before I do that. Okay. You've got, there's a little piece of fragment that exited the top of the block right there. Well, I'm not even so sure that exited. I think it stopped right there. There's a little lump in there. You got that main piece in here, which I believe is a stabilizer. Is pretty much exactly 7 inches to the tip of that. Now this chunk of lead up here, the tip of that's coming in at about 9 3/4. And then that piece back there is gonna be 12 3/4. Okay, now coming back to this, that track at the widest point from the top is about 2 1/8 wide. Now this piece sticking out of the block, you want a measurement on that. From where I'm looking, it's about 1 3/4 sticking out of the block. Very weird. My block's seen better days. I get some new blocks. Hopefully in the semi-near future. But let me go ahead and get this cut open and get some better looks at some of this stuff. Before I cut any further, I'm going to show you guys this. Cutting down through the center of the track. Okay, and you can see some of the damage that's in there. Okay, I get up to where this piece of gel sticking out of the block, and this is in here. That's like a piece of thick felt. It's real stiff, but it is like a felt fabric type fiber material. It is tough. That was laying right there where I pulled it out of, at the base of this piece of gel. I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting through here. Find anything else interesting, I'll be sure to show you. Okay, now I cut around that piece there. Here's this side. That's where it went in. And you see there's cavity damage. And down in here going. That comes through. And it has like a weird texture to it as compared to other tests, other bullets going through the block. And I cut that piece of lead out that was on that side. That's it right there. You can see some rifling on there. Now on this side, actually this was the top of the block, I cut around that. And you can see that texture. Obviously it's the opposite as to what's over here, texture wise. Now see, there's this piece comes here and it stops right there at that piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. I wanted to show you in this track. It's definitely weird, because this is still solid with the block. It's not like that strip is like I can pull that out. I can't pull that out. That's part of the gel. They're solid, not torn. Let's see, it's solid here. You can see there's a piece of something goes up through the center of that. You see that black, almost worm looking thing going up through the center of that piece. Very, very interesting test. Definitely going to cut that piece open, and then I'll finish cutting this open and pull that out. But if I can rip this enough right here. Okay. That's plastic. That's popped out the end of it. It's another piece of that. Now this is actually almost like cardboard. This is a little harder than the other piece I pulled out that was like felt fibers. This is actually more like super compressed cardboard. And it was in the end of this. I believe it was this way. Over here with the rest of the stuff we've recovered. Okay, we got a track goes back there. There's a fragment there. Down in, and then that fragment there, I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of the ray open, get them out, and then we'll get a look at this stuff a little closer and get some weights. And here's what we got. All this over here. Now that piece, that weird piece sticking out of the block, I cut that open. That black streak going up through there basically looks like a gunpowder residue. It's just like a black dusting. Clean up to the end. There's nothing significant for any type of mass. It's just that black streak. Looks like gunpowder basically. That's it. There was nothing inside of that. This was the piece at the back of the block, and this was the piece that was further down in, couldn't really see due to my darker blocks. And this was the big piece we pulled out to the center, and then that piece was right in front of this piece that looped out of the block. Now to me that doesn't look like the whole 1 1/8 slug. Looks like most of it's there, but I think it'd be a little shy. I don't know. So I'm wondering if maybe a piece of it did fly out the top of the block. It definitely broke to pieces. Turn this on. So this was weighed in ounces. See, I'm not sure if I got ounces on this scale. Yes, I do. Okay, no, my other scale does. Haven't used ounces on this one yet. The bigger scale doesn't go down to grains, so I had to buy this little one to get the grains for the other bullets ammo. Okay, so here we have, there's that big piece, 0.35 ounces. Here's that piece, 0.49 ounces, and that piece. So we're definitely shy as far as 1 1/8 ounces. Looks like we're coming in at about 3/4 of an ounce. So we're a little shy for the ounce. Now, 1 1/8 rather. Now if you add these in, I don't know if these are accounted for. I'm not familiar with the slugs on how they weigh those. I would think it would be the slug itself. But if you count that, the plastic stabilizer and the 2 fibrous materials, that brings you in at just under an ounce, 0.927. It's basically 0.93 ounces. So you're a little shy at 1 1/8. that's what we got. As in comparison to that test, this box says for deer. I personally wouldn't use it on deer. Not saying it's not going to kill them or put them down. I mean, the kinetic energy is definitely there. Definitely a nice wide all the way around wound track cavity, that damage cavity. There's just no penetration. If I was to hit bone or something, I mean, who knows what would happen. I don't personally think I would use that on deer. I think I do want to test this again though. For home defense, in a self-defense situation, for home defense, I would think if the results come out like that consistently, which I think that's, I'm going to end up testing this later on. In a home defense situation, recoil wise, it's not going to, be your top choice for something low recoil. It's not bad recoil. With the results of that test, I think that would be a fairly decent home defense round, because any human gets hit by that is definitely going to do some serious damage. I don't think they're going to get up and walk away from that. Hit in the chest. Obviously, you hit them in the leg, arm, something, yeah. With any caliber, really, people would get up and walk away from that. For your kill shot to the chest, I don't really think they're going to walk away from that round. With the low penetration, that might be nice. You might consider it a little nicer for the inside the home round. Somebody breaks in the middle of the night. You get other people in the house, so you don't have that penetration going through the person. Maybe continue to go through a wall and into somebody else. But again, what you do for your home security, your home defense and self-defense, that's completely up to you. These are my opinions. I'm by no means a professional. I just do this. It interests me to see what some of these bullets do. I'm not like sponsored, funded in any way by anybody like that. This is all basically out of pocket type stuff. A little bit combined with my business. I am an FFL dealer. So I try to, get some useful videos people can check out and use. There's other people out there doing ballistic tests that do an amazing job with some of their tests. I do this for something to do. I like doing it. I don't get too specific with all the details. I don't have a chronograph, so I'm not giving you muzzle velocity. I don't tell you the air temperature. I'm not giving you little detail things like that. I'm giving you basically, here's what I'm using. I'm giving you the distance. I'm giving you the gun I'm using, barrel length, etc. as far as that goes. The distance at what I'm shooting, and then I show you the results of what happens. I'm going to start doing some little more focus into the 12 gauge shotgun shells, some of the shot loads and different chokes, using them with different chokes. I have 2 videos I'm going to do with some turkey loads and same load with 2 different chokes. And I show you the difference with that in the next 2 videos going up. along with this one. And then since my blocks are kind of dark yellow and you can't see so well anymore until I'm able to get a new set of blocks, I think I'm going to play with the shotgun shells. But I thank you all for watching. I guess I've been rambling on here. But in my opinion, in the end, with this particular test, I wouldn't use that for deer. But it may be, you may like that as a good home defensive round for a intruder breaking in the middle of the night, for the low penetration but massive damage for what it does penetrate. So ultimately, that's all your decision. You're liable for that. This is what I come up with. I found this to be a very interesting test. So thanks for watching.